Committee on January 17 for approval. Approval of this item would adopt board goals and objectives for self-development in 2019 per Board Policy 1810, Annual Goals and Objectives. Now, we have some talking points on this because Ellie, our board manager, even though she did the yeoman's work to do this, isn't going to present. So, Jill, you want to lead us off and I'll fill in, please?
I would say it was the yeoman's work, but thank you, Ellie, for all your work on that.
Okay.
Touche.
To hold ourselves accountable, we too have goals. And per Board Policy 1810, the board adopts the goals for itself each year. The executive committee, when I was a part of the executive committee, worked on the identification of goals. And these were discussed throughout the fall and then presented to the full board during a work session on December 12th. During the December work session, directors offered refinements which have been incorporated into this bar. The proposed board goals are based on the feedback shared by the directors and consensus reached during the work session. 3 board goals were advanced by the executive committee as follows. First, the board will engage in racial equity training during this school year. I think the cost and scope of that training were alluded to by Director Harris earlier, and this will take this is a budget item for the board. Second, the board will work to improve board collaboration and governance. This will include review and discussion of our policies that speak to the role of the board, board officers, and committees. And again, we have already scheduled a retreat where we will work on this. And third, the board will hold 2 work sessions off-site as a pilot during the 2019 calendar year. I think this is, in particular, a point that is exciting for the directors because at least I know during the time when I was running for board with Director Harris and Director Pinkham and Director Burke, I think we all talked about how good it would be for our district if we brought our board meetings to the various geographic areas so people could have access to the magic. The board adopts, the bar presented adopts these goals and will allow us to move into implementation phase so that we can ensure we achieve these goals before the board's next scheduled evaluation in November.
Again, this is one of those places where we achieve consensus. It took us too long because our plates are very, very full. And with respect to holding work sessions off-site, given the screaming success of the listening tours, I would suggest to all that our staff is eminently capable of making that happen. And we don't have to be fancy, but we need to meet folks where they are. And especially with 1st through 4th Southlander, Viadume, etc. It's even more and more important to get out in the community, see and be seen, and listen. Okay. Number 2, approval of courses with new content as defined by Superintendent Procedure 2026. This came before CNI January 15th for
Approval.
Approval of this item would approve the courses, including Native American language competency courses as attached to the board action report, and consider any world language competency courses proposed after this board action report to be, quote, revised content, end quote, as defined by Superintendent Procedure 2026. Dr. Kinoshita, please.
Good evening. Kyle Kinoshita, Executive Director, Curriculum Assessment Instruction. And as President Harris pointed out, we are presenting a bar with many new courses. In terms of, excuse me, the world language courses, there are 16 total, and we're proud to present that 6 of those courses are Native American languages. There's also 2 advanced math courses, a foundational social studies course, and a new CT health course, which is part of a health science pathway that is being created. And as you pointed out, one of the proposals in the bar is to allow us to, present language courses as revised content instead of new content, meaning that the chief academic officer could approve them. And that's because they're not necessarily new curriculum other than the language, and they're very similar ways that they're assessed. So in any case, I would end by saying that the adding of these language courses is I think, major asset to equity because it expands opportunity for multilingual students who are often underserved, gives them an opportunity to get them 2 world language high school credits, which are also required for college entrance in 4-year colleges, and in that way expands opportunity. So I'll take any questions.
Director Pinkham, then Director Mack.
It's 5 native languages right now. You said 6, or how many?
Well, I thought I counted 6. I, could go back and count them over again. But
Yeah, again, what I see, Nez Perce being 1, Lakota being 2, Haida being 3, Dene now being 4, and then the Lachute Seed being 5.
uh-huh.
So was
Okay.
there another one that I'm missing? Or?
Well, let me, if you give me half a second, I might take a look.
I mean, if you
It was,
consider Maya Quiche indigenous, you could call it that probably, but I don't think it is within the bucket you're thinking of. I only counted 5 as well.
Okay, you're correct. This was a little bit hard to page through. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry.
Okay, but thank you for pursuing this and also adding the language that if others come up through superintendent procedure, we can offer them. Because I've asked around, and there are other people that speak native languages are coming forward and said, hey, I know someone that might be able to help with that. One of them being the Ojibwe language. So we hope to see you definitely add more native languages to this. Katsiaya. Katsiaya means thank you in Nez Perce, right?
Director Mack, please.
I'm very excited for the addition of these languages and these courses. My question is around the four courses that are not the language courses that are in addition to our existing course catalog. My question is around the typical scope and sequence and what these credits apply to. And it's not transparent to me in the information provided where they fit in a scope and sequence of meeting standards or gaining the number and the appropriate types of credits to graduate from high school.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's a crosswalk somewhere or where that information lies.
Did you have a question about a particular course, or did you mean all 4 of them?
My question is in general around these courses and all the courses in our catalog. Those courses are by themselves, they're a course, but they're typically part of a scope and sequence of some, there's a math scope and sequence, there's a science scope and sequence, there's humanities, there's, is that mapped out somewhere? Is there a crosswalk for our entire course catalog of where courses fit in and what they apply to? So I need a humanities credit, you can take these 6 things. I'm wondering where, because here's just a long list, and so I don't know how that crosses over into the scope and sequence, or what these courses actually apply to in terms of required credits.
I can speak to, for example, one of the math courses, which is the advanced calculus course that's listed. And that came about because if a student takes algebra in 6th grade, by the time they go through the math course sequence, there are no more courses to take, as a senior, unless they actually access Running Start, and then which might be difficult for the schedule. We would also lose a little bit of FTE. So the idea there was to provide an opportunity for a senior class to actually take a course here in our Seattle Public Schools.
Director Geary?
I raised a different look at the same concern. While these are in a catalog, and it's my understanding from the conversation, because we did have a pretty good conversation around this, is that just because it's in the catalog doesn't necessarily mean it will be offered. And so it would be up to the principal of the building to determine where it fits in to the sequence of courses available to their students. The point that I raised is that according to the policy under which these came, 2026, it says that we're obligated to provide courses from K through 12 in alignment with the standards. And so that when I see something like Calculus 3, it raises a couple flags for me. One, we are creating a new bar by which parents start striving earlier to get to, so that kids are in algebra. That starts becoming what they think is the normal scope and sequence that they need to put their kids towards. And they may be foregoing other opportunities with that drive. And while that may seem good, you can talk to somebody who works at the UW, perhaps, like Director Pinkham, and find out that, who also sits on my committee, and find out that that's almost like a red herring, because even if the kids take that course, they really have to do it all over again, and so they may have foregone an opportunity for breadth, and it doesn't really save them the time perhaps that they thought they were going to gain. I'm also concerned that it then creates a push within the school to not offer, because there's only limited rooms, teachers, so then it becomes dedicated to something that is outside the K-12 standards. So I have some concerns about our continuing to build up. It sounds good, it looks good on paper, it seems elite, but what are we sacrificing, and what are our kids sacrificing in order to get to this new height? It's just a question, I don't answer it.
Director Mack?
I appreciate your comments and thoughts, Director Geary, a lot, because I think that's one of the challenges of just having a long laundry list of courses, but not as much clarification of what kind of the appropriate scope and sequences and what those courses are that we are, consistently going to offer and provide that breadth of. So I guess I'm advocating that we do the work to actually map that, so that we know and have some consistency across our course catalog.
Other questions, comments, concerns? Director Pinkham, since you've been called out?
Yeah, since my name was mentioned here.
Not in vain.
Yeah, I brought this up in the C9 meeting. Calc 3, again, there's good and bad. One being that if our students are seeing that acceleration, Rick Burke brought that up, are we trying to accelerate our students versus trying to advance them? It can become a risk that students, I'm going to try for Calc 3 and quickly go zoom through Algebra 1, Algebra 2, boom, okay, now I'm in Calculus by my sophomore year, Calc 2 by my junior year. And then if we don't have a Calc 3, they're taking something else their senior year because they ran out of math. And then for us, for universities, that if a student wanted to go to that needs calculus, they usually end up, oh, God, it's been a year since I had calculus, and where do I start out again? So that's where it's kind of good that we at least maybe have that option on the table that they could fill in that gap. But then there is the drawback: are they going to now trying to strive for that Calc 3 as fast as they can, and they're not developing the skills that they truly need? So yeah, they're good and bad for this. But right now with the situation that I'm in, I see this kind of filling in a gap that we may need for those students that are going to probably get in Calc 2 in a sense by their junior year, and having something they can keep their Calc skills and algebra skills. Note that students, algebra is where you really suffer the most when he gets to college because you forget those skills. But thanks. Appreciate this.
And Dr. DeBacker, you're listening. You hear where we're going, and I'm sure you'll hear more. Superintendent, please.
I know we had talked about fiscal note on this, and so this is sort of, I know we're starting conversations around this, and I'm in no way advocating that this should not pass, but I'm starting to pose questions as these come forward to you, because even though it says that there's no cost or a neutral cost, I believe even a competency assessment would cost money. And so just know that those are the conversations I'm starting to have with staff before they get here, and build a more robust fiscal note so you guys can have more information as they come forward. And so that was our first conversation about this. But so there will be more of that as it comes forward.
And it will make us all better. Thank you. Okay, number 4, BTA 4, award contract number K5105, bid number B10819 to Axe USET Construction, Inc. for the relocation.
President Harris, I apologize. You're actually on number 3. I think you
Well,
skipped
thank you
3.
for that. I appreciate it. Let's go with number 3. Approval of post-consumer food waste compost collection services contract, bid number B09812, to be awarded to Cedar Grove Composting. Came before Ops January 10 for approval. Approval of this item would authorize superintendent to execute a contract with Cedar Grove Composting covering the period from March 1, 2019 to December 31, 2020 in the amount of $242,164.35 in the form of the draft agreement dated March 1, 2019, and attached to school board action report with any minor additions, deletions, and modifications deemed necessary by the superintendent, and to take any necessary actions to implement the contract. Deputy Nielsen, dial it up. Quick
make
like
this-
a bunny.
Yes, Stephen Nielsen, Deputy Superintendent. So what this does is this collects all of our food waste from our schools and turns it into compost. We're working with Cedar Grove. You will notice that the amount of this contract is $242,164.35. That is less than $250. There's good news in all of this. When we introduced this to Ops, we had-
Comment about 250, meaning
I'm sorry,
board
thank you.
approval required?
board
Context?
approval is required for $250,000 or more. We were anticipating that the bid would come in higher, which is why it was introduced to operations. As you can see, it did not. And that is because our participation in the program and the volume that we have and the city incentives lowered our cost of recycling, putting food waste into somewhere other than a landfill. So we are recommending that you approve this.
Comments, questions, concerns? Director DeWolf.
I was just going to say thank you for the work on this, and I'm really grateful that we found a way to save some money in spite of it all. So thanks for making that work. It's something good to celebrate in a small way. So
Yes.
Director Mack.
My previous life was waste reduction and recycling, so it's very exciting to have these sorts of things coming in front of me. I just wanted to note that when it came to ops, we didn't have the service details in here on the list of like what the services are, so I appreciate that that's added. A question that kind of comes to my mind is that I know the staff that works on this isn't here to respond to, so maybe it's something that we can just follow up on, or maybe you do have the answer, but I'm curious to know what the feedback loop is on checking to kind of ensure that the size of the service is appropriate, not too much, so we're not paying too much, like we don't have a bin that is way too large that we're not using, or that there's not too much contamination. That I'm wondering what the monitoring process is to kind of make sure that this is the appropriate service level.
Bruce Gower, Director of Facilities. So our check and balance is the custodial staff who works with our resource conservation team to make sure we're right-sized.
And thanks for the beautiful podium, by the way. And please take our thanks back to your staff.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Director Pinkham.
So how does this differ from what the city does with food and waste composting?
It really doesn't. And we are now at every school because we're mandated to be by the city. So it's mirroring the city's program.
So then who picks up our school's garbage? Is it not the city or
No, we have our own
our own
contract.
garbage
We do
for
not.
garbage collection?
Yeah,
well?
actually, our trash and recycle contract, we pay a lower rate than the city
Than the
does.
city?
Yeah.
Okay. And boy, it'd be great if we can get these, hey, have some students catch a ride with help with their transportation, whatever we can do. They're, all right, let's go.
Can we have methane buses next, please?
Yeah, they are struggling to hire drivers as
And
well.
deep discounts on compost for our gardens. Director Mack.
I do want to also note that actually one of the aspects of this program and the education that the resource conservation folks work on, and that the city has supported, like the signage that we have is city supported and so forth. So there's a lot of continuity, but the other aspect is a lot of schools have set up green teams, and so the students have the opportunity to kind of learn how to compost and recycle appropriately, and and volunteer their time. And so I just want to give a shout out to the volunteer green team, the volunteer parents that tend to support coordinating those students to do that, as well as the students that do it. So
And the staff that runs it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
all
and
those
Okay.
folks.
our shared savings program pays for a lot of those green teams.
So it's a 1-to-1?
We win again.
It's on the same spreadsheet? Very cool, thank you.
And can I get a name for the garbage collection? If it's cheaper, maybe I'll switch.
Okay, number 4, BTA 4, award contract K5105, bid number B10819 to Axu Set Construction, Inc. for the relocation and set up of portable classrooms at multiple school sites. Came before Ops January 10 for consideration. Approval of this item would provide authorization for the superintendent to enter into a construction contract in the amount of $319,821, including unit prices plus Washington State sales tax for the relocation and set up of portable classrooms at multiple school sites. Take it away, Deputy Nielsen.
Stephen Nielsen, Deputy Superintendent. This is introduced as a earlier action item than we have done in the past in order to move portables as needed in a more timely fashion. We often have difficulties with transportation, et cetera, on these. This is for moving portables only. We already own the portables. It's estimated we may need as many as 10 to address capacity needs in various buildings. And this allows us to do so at an average cost of somewhere between $32,000 and $38,000 per portable. The city only allows us to move one portable per night, so there's a lot involved and et cetera to have this happen. And so we are asking for your approval.
And perhaps our
I'm
new
trying to-
COO can help us with that.
Perhaps he can.
He knows where all the bodies are buried down at City Hall.
That's right.
And I want to say again, last year I asked to be on one of those portable crews because to me it is fascinating how we move things around this town. So I'm putting my bid in again. It's a matter of public record. Number 5, BTA 4, award construction contract K5104, bid number B12841 to blank for the Franklin High School window and door replacement project. Came before Ops January 10 for consideration. Approval of this item would provide authorization for the superintendent to enter into a construction contract in the amount of blank, range of $5 million to $5.5 million, including base bid, Washington State sales tax for the Franklin High School window and door replacement project. Take it away, please.
Deputy Stephen Nielsen. Franklin High School was constructed in 1912. It was remodeled sans changing the windows in 1990. Therefore, the windows are from 1912. It is a cold, drafty building, and this would authorize replacement of those windows and many exterior doors. This is actually addresses a first round of contracts where the forms were not filled out correctly, so we wanted to ensure that the process met all requirements of public bidding and providing a clean acceptance on our part. So that is why the numbers are not filled in, although I believe we're quite close to knowing what the real number is, and you can see the range there, somewhere around 5 million.
Questions, comments, concerns? Director Geary, please.
So this is a little bit for Chief Potesta, but when I believe I attended this ops committee, and when I reviewed the language in the bar, I found it confusing. And it goes back to something that I've asked for, which I want to see when we do these big projects. I want a little historical context for them so that we and the public will know, when was the last time we replaced the windows, we replaced the roof? And during that conversation, it was made clear to me that the windows in question are original windows that we're replacing. But the language in that historical piece doesn't make that clear. And that was to be cleared up, and it is not cleared up. It still says that there was a remodel, a major modernization in 1990, and it still says that there was additional work done in, I believe, 2002 or somewhere around there. But it doesn't reference the fact that what we are replacing are the original windows. And so it would lead one to believe that we are replacing, that windows have only lasted since 1990. And I think people would expect windows to last longer given the amounts of money that we spend on them. So it's just an additional clarification that I'd like to see in the bar before it becomes a final piece of our history. And then for future reference, keep an eye to that, because that, I think that helps the public understand, you know, where and how we are spending our money.
Chief Podesta, can we get those red lines before action? Thank you, sir. Okay, and on that happy note, we are adjourned at 8:17 p.m. Thanks all for being here. It's an honor, it's a privilege. We're doing good work, and a whole lot of it is really hard.